morning. How's everybody doing? Good. This morning I'm not going to preach, but we're going to have a conversation if that's okay. I'm going to keep my jacket on. If I keep my jacket on, am I still spiritual and I can do this? You know, some people are going to like Craig preaches in sandals and people don't believe he's spiritual because of that. But I'll just keep my jacket. It's a little chilly here and I'm kind of a girl man, you know. So, you know, just saying. But, you know, I was, since Craig dropped a bomb on me, I'm going to drop a couple things on him. It's pretty amazing. I was watching the Vimeo from last week, you know, and Craig was teaching about vision and where the church is going and keeping that in front of you. But I was really amazed and I was just so enamored as I was watching the Vimeo that Craig had on a belt and tucked his shirt in. I'm like, what is up with that? That is not Craig Hamilton. You know, did something, did God do something or touch him? It was a special anointing. Then he put a belt on and tucked his shirt in. It's like, what is this stuff? I didn't say stuff. But anyway, I was, you know, what is this? This is not the guy I know. But anyway, but I'm here and Craig and I met this week and we talked a little bit. And before I get into our conversation, I do want to drop a word on you. Dag it. I'm going to cry, and my crying is not crying. I just got to explain this up front. My crying is the move of God's Spirit in me. Everybody emotes differently when God touches them. Some people shake, some people do other things. I cry when God touches me, or there's something specifically where heaven is touching earth and my soul is being, are you with me? Yeah. So what happens when that happens, this happens. So don't give me any tissue. Let me just work through it. Don't feel sad. Say, oh, he's crying, he's crying. No, I'm not crying. My spirit is being moved. Okay, can you do that? So don't bother me. Just let the spirit move. Okay, so I wasn't going to do this. We were praying back in this morning for the service, and as we were praying, Jason asked, did anybody have a word? And something came impressed upon me that I felt was for you as a church, and I shared it with the leadership back there, and I cried then. And I'm going to share. But as I was standing back there doing the first opening song, I was like, okay, Craig's talking about vision, talking about this church as a whole. And it's like, this is for the whole church. And I was like, oh, no, God, don't make me do that. He's like, yeah, do that. I was like, no, God, I was going to cry. And I don't want to cry in front of people. It's like, you do this. And the word is simply this. It's just a word. And it's that. And you have to take with it the bond of the Spirit. It's a term, the bond of the Spirit. Church 242, where God is taking you and where the vision of God is leading you. He's going to lead you there because of the bond of your spirits together. The bond of the Spirit is something that connects hearts and minds greater than physical touch. The bond of the Spirit is what gives you unity to accomplish all the things that God has for you to do. Oh, this is so messed up. The bond of the Spirit is what will keep you together and keep you on the path to the journey of the vision. And we're going to talk about vision today. But it's the bond of the Spirit. You know, in the Bible, there was a family with Abraham, and he had Isaac and Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons. Can you imagine having 12 brothers and not even counting the sisters? And within that, you know, there was some dysfunction, right? But those 12 boys soon were led from just being a family to a people to becoming a great nation. Within that family, though, there was some messed up junk going on. They threw one brother in the pit, right? And they were conniving, they were fighting even amongst themselves, and we would call that today, we call that dysfunction. But there was something that God was doing that was greater in his vision and his path that kept them together. Even within their dysfunction, the bond of his Spirit, the unity of love and affection, got them to the destiny to become what we call the nation of Israel, the people of God. Church 242, if I say nothing else today, if I sit down now and I leave, I want to let you know that God's vision for you is that you utilize that bond of the Spirit with all of that dysfunction. Now, you know, some of you walked in here this morning and you looked at some other people and go, wow, why did they come to church today? Because there's some dysfunction among family, right?
Right.
Come on. There's always dysfunction in family. I have mine with my children. You know, some of them don't even like each other, but that's what they do. Anyway, no, my kids love each other. They're great. But there's always dysfunction in family. But the dysfunction cannot break, hear me now, should not break the bond of the Spirit. Amen. The unity of love. It should actually cover that and get you to the place that God has called for you. So when you come in here and you do see that brother or that sister, you go, wow, why did God bring them here? Still show them that love and affection, because it's the bond of the Spirit that will lead you to the vision, the place of destiny, the call, the completion of God's work in you as a body, as a family, as a community. And everybody said, amen. I'm done. Drop the mic. Does that make sense? If it doesn't make sense, like I told them in the back, if it doesn't work for you, you can throw rocks at me later. I'll be out there. I have a white Kia, and you can just throw rocks at it if it didn't work, okay? You good? Yeah. Okay, we got through that. All right. Whew. Okay, where do we go from here, right? How do you follow that up, right? Okay. Well, yesterday, as Jason mentioned, yesterday I walked yesterday in the ceremony to complete my bachelor's degree at Life Pacific College. Yay, thank you. Yeah, my family was with me. We celebrated, and you know, I was here at Church 242 the weekend. The first week or two after I left, everything that I was doing, because I dropped everything that I was doing. I'm gonna tell you the long story long in a minute. To go back to college, it is a long story. That's why we're just gonna have a conversation today. We're just gonna talk like girlfriends. Girlfriend, let's talk. So anyway, and I'll drop some Bible truth in there, here and there, okay? So yesterday was the completion of that, but it was all about, you know, following what God called me to do. And this was one of the first places I preached after I left my job and dropped everything to complete my degree, because I had three classes, 9 units to finish, and I couldn't do that and work full time as a 50-year-old with grown children, right? So I dropped everything and went back and completed my degree. And I told you guys, and everybody was here, was like, man, that's impressive. No, it was a risk and it took a lot of faith. But guess what? Mission completed. I got that degree. Yay. But thank you. I appreciate it. But here's the backstory. As I started this journey and doing ministry, full-time ministry, I felt like God said, you know, that impression, God said, go back to school. You need to go back to school. And I'm like, God, go back to school. You know all those things, right? The against God. Oh, you guys are good Christians. You guys don't go, no, God, we're not doing that. That's not right. You know, how can that be the plan? So I did. I went back to school, started my degree completion program, got in the middle of that. Then in the middle of that, I planted a church, and life happened, you know what I'm saying? And life was going on, and even in the middle of that, Craig and I were in school together at Life Pacific taking classes in 2012, and my mom dies in the middle of the semester. What bad time, and this woman why would you die now? You know, don't you know I'm in school, I got to complete this degree, what God told me to do, you know? So we didn't put her on ice for 8 weeks. We went ahead and had her funeral and did all of that, you know, because it's about me and my degree. Like Jason said, it's about us, you know, but I was like, okay. So we went ahead and did that, but then I didn't have the oomph, if you can imagine, after losing your mom, I didn't have the oomph to go back and finish that semester. You know, I wanted to, but I just didn't have the It's like, nah, you know what? I'll finish that later. But later never really started coming, you know, until I made the decision. It was like, you know what? Last year in July, my wife and I were celebrating our 20th anniversary. Yay, 20 years of marriage. Yes, awesome. And we were in Hawaii celebrating our 20th anniversary with our children. Do you hear some disdain there? Do you hear some upset? How do we celebrate our 20th anniversary and all of them get to come? They weren't there back then anyway. So with our children, it's like, you guys, oh, anyway, so you love your children. So we went out to dinner and we were sitting there. My wife did this really, really cool thing. She made us listen to the words that I'm saying, husbands. She made us review every anniversary for 20 years. It was actually really cool. Because we started with year one when we first got married, and we remember being in that little small apartment, and I made dinner for her for our first anniversary. You know, year 5 we did this, and one year we went out, and we just went out to Marina Del Rey, and we got into a gondola, and we celebrated with gondolas, and we bought ankle bracelets, because I'm a girly man. I like ankle bracelets. It was really more for me than for us, but we bought ankle bracelets, 24 karat gold. I'm like, yeah, ankle bracelet. So I was so excited. You know, and all the things that we've done through the years, you know, of our anniversary, we just reviewed, and the ones we couldn't fill in as we were on our vacation, we started, remember year 17, we did this, you know, and as we reviewed, we said, okay, so that's for that 20 years. What are we going to do for the next 20 years? It's like, oh man, we start making plans again, vision, right? Yeah? And so we started, okay, we'll be able to do this when I retire here, and then you can, if you do that, you can retire there, and we'll be able to do this. We'll be able to take our kids on vacations and do things like this. And then we looked at it and it was like, when we finished, what is there that we can't leave behind as regrets? And guess what popped up? Cool. Yeah, amen. You haven't finished school. It's like, I have now. But then she said, you haven't finished school? I said, yeah, 3 units. She said, so how are we going to do it? I don't know. There's no way to do it unless I leave my job, and, you know, because I'm old and I don't want to go to school, you know. And it would take effort. And actually, we made a plan. We made a plan to go, okay, I'll do a class a semester, because she works at APU. Spousal privilege of having a class free every semester. So I'll just take a class a semester for free and da-da-da. And one of my friends said, hey, if you do this thing, if you did it in one semester and you did all 3 classes, you'd be finished at the first of the year. But I would have to leave I couldn't do all 3. You know, all the excuses in the world. Thought that was a great idea. Left my job, went on a sabbatical from the ministry, from work, completed 3 units, Tuesday and Thursday from 8 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4.5 hours of lecture every Tuesday and Thursday. I was a mess. You couldn't talk to me on Tuesdays and Thursdays because my mind was all about science, teachings of Jesus, the life of Jesus, classes. But we got it done, and yesterday I completed it. Here's the thing, yay God. Here's the thing. God has a vision and a plan for you as a church, and he has a plan and a vision for you as a people. But here's the great thing about that is that you have to, and you get the privilege of participating in that plan and that vision. Yeah? Yes. Amen. You get to participate. Okay, I'm gonna say it this way. You get the opportunity to mess up the vision and the plan. Does that make it more help? Does that make more sense? Yes, you get the opportunity to mess it up because God has a vision and a plan. Jeremiah 29:10. How many people know Jeremiah 29:10? Yeah? What does it say? Don't put it on the screen. Don't put it on the screen. You put it on the screen. God has a plan for your life, right? A plan, a future, and a hope, right? Okay, put it on the screen. Let's read it together. This is what the Lord says. Hold on. That's not, okay, yeah. When the 70 years was completed in Babylon, I will come to you and fulfill my promises to you and bring you back to a place. For this is what it says, everybody know it. For I know the plans I have for you, declare the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plan to give you a hope and a future. Stop right there. And everybody knows that verse, and we see it on all the plaques and all the little doohickeys and things. God has a plan for you. Now, here's the kicker. You want to hear a kicker? Yeah. We love that verse, right? But that verse is not effective unless you do verse 12 and verse 13. Okay? Everybody does that. No, God has a plan for my life. Like, oh, I just want to see all those things in the bookstores. I just want to throw them away. I hate those placards because they don't do 11 and 13. 11, 12, and 13. Let's read the rest of it. It says this. Then he has a plan for you. Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will. So if he just have a plan for you, but you don't call on him, you don't come to him, you don't listen to him, what good is the plan? Are you hearing me? And it says this, you will what? And find me when you seek me with all your heart. So 10 doesn't do anything if you don't do 11 and 12. It's just a good plan. It's just a dream. It's a thought and a hope. But here's the thing, that it's the thought and the hope from God, though. So that gives you some good. It's like, wow, that's cool. But again, what I said from the top, you get to participate in the plan. And it's part of your participation, can you say that three times real fast? Participation? Anyway, part of your participation is that you have to come to him. You have to call on him. You have to pray. You have to even listen to God. You have to listen to what God says to do and do it his way and not do it your way, because in the plan and the vision, we get to screw it up. Or we get to line up and go forward with the vision. And the bond of the Spirit, the bond of the unity of the Spirit gets to carry us forward. Are you hearing me? Am I making sense out of nothing? But he says this, that you can put your name in there. You put your name right there. You can say Angela, you can say John, you can say Zachariah, you can say Zach. Zach, when you seek me. Zach, when you seek me, you will find me. Zach, when you seek me with all your heart. Are you hearing me? And that's the plan. That's what God has. That's why, even with me, in completing the degree, it was getting back to the plan. This was a plan that God had called, and I had stopped, and I had even felt like I failed. Are you hearing me? You know, so, and we do this thing, goes, God, what is your will for my life? Okay, here's the plan. The will for my life is for you to follow me, for you to seek me, for you to pray, and for you to even, here's the word, everybody look up, everybody look up. Ready? You're going to hate me for this, but I'm going to do it anyway. God would say, even for you to listen to me. And that's not listening to me. That means listening and responding to what I told you. Okay? Because a lot of times, your wives, your wife say, Brian, you're not listening to me. That doesn't mean that you're not listening to her. It means you're not doing what she told you to do, right? That's what it means. Am I right? You're not doing what I told you to do. Anyway, that's what God would say. I love you, Brian. Forgive me, God. Should I get on my knees? No. But that's how we talk about, right? When he say you're not listening to me, it really means that you're not doing what I want you to do. And what God is saying here, when he says you will listen to me, he's saying you will do what I've asked you to. Yeah. That means that when you come into a family and a community like Church 242, and there's this fellowship and loving spirit coming in, and everybody's happy and they love on each other, even though they've got some dysfunction, you'll jump into and you'll be a part of that loving unity and family. Because that's what God says is happening here. Am I okay? Yes. Okay. So, many times we fail into the works of God, and just like many people have, where Elijah failed, David failed, Paul failed, Peter failed, and we think that our failures keep us from completing and participating in the plan of God. But sometimes in that plan, there are situations like in mine where there are breaks and it doesn't seem like God is doing anything. And my question for you today is, like, in the vision that Pastor Craig is casting for you and where God has you right now in your life as a church and in your life. I'm trying to sit down, but I can't, I keep trying to sit down. I was like, I'm going to sit down and talk. But in that plan, and even in your personal life plan, it may feel like it felt in mine, like, how can this be the vision of God when it's not happening? Yeah. When nothing's going on and it feels like everything is just like stagnant. Because where I feel like I'm in my life right now, I feel like Elijah, who was sitting by the brook. God told him, we'll get to this verse in a little bit, 1 Kings 17, where he told Elijah, stop doing what you're doing, stop doing ministry, stop working, and go sit by the brook and I'll provide for you. And just sit and wait. But God, how can that be vision? How can that be doing something? And it doesn't feel like that. And even where you may be as a church today, it doesn't feel like God has you in the plan and the vision where you think Church 242 ought to be. You do your neck like that. Church 242 ought to be like that now. But we're not there yet. But are you in the place, in that vision and the plan, where God has you right now? If this is the place where God has you in his vision and his plan, and he has a plan for you right now, and that place feels stagnant, and it's like, just stay there. Are you willing to just stay there? Are you willing to create an Ishmael in God's vision? Everybody know who Ishmael was? Abraham and Sarah had a thing. God told them they were going to give him a son. It took so long. Sarah's like, God ain't happening, it ain't working, we got to do something, we got to help God out, we got to participate in this. And God said, you are participating by waiting. By being where you are in the stage that you're in right now, you are in the plan. But it doesn't feel like the plan because it's not happening. You're sitting by the brook. And you're sitting by the brook, and while you're by the brook, you're missing this, because this is how I feel. It's like, God, I'm missing it. He's like, no, I'm providing you food and water, dummy. Every day's a good day, and you just need to sit by the brook. But God, I'm not preaching every Sunday. I used to preach every Sunday. Shut up, dummy. You're in the plan. You're in the place of the vision right now. But God, I don't know what the next thing is. That's okay. I don't want you to know. I want you to sit by the brook and let me provide it for you until the brook dries up. Then I'll tell you to move. But God, it should be more. Not right now, because I'm doing this. I'm building character in you. Come on. Are you willing to listen and respond to what I say, like Brian? Are you willing to listen and do what I say by just waiting? Because while you're waiting, in the waiting, I am building character in you. Even if you've created an Ishmael in the plan, I can still build character in you, in the place that you are in right now, and it doesn't feel like me, it doesn't feel like you're accelerating, doesn't feel like you're going forward, but this is a part of the vision. The part of the vision right now is for you to wait or to do what you're doing right now until I tell you to do the next thing. You ever do that with your children? Come on, just do what I told you to do right now. I'll wait. The next thing, I'll tell you to do the next thing. Don't worry about that right now. Just do this. Hello, parents. Come on, help me now. And they, well, what about the, no, just do this. Just do this, and the next thing will come. Well, when we're going, no, we're just, don't even have words. But that thing right there doesn't feel like it's what it's supposed to be. And we think that God's vision is dead, his plan is dead. When his plan is, no, you're in the vision right now. It's just that the vision is not happening like you think it should be happening. But wait for me, I'm still God. I have providence, I'm leading this. I'll lead you into destiny. I'll lead you into character. I'll build you, your character, and I'll build you to where you need to go. Rick Warren said that God is not concerned so much about your comfort. He's more concerned about your character and what that takes to build for his kingdom's purpose, for his plan for your life. See, when you're looking for the plan and for the vision, sometimes you have to wait and look for the open doors, and sometimes you have to look for the closed doors. As I was applying for the colleges I was trying to get into, of course I'm trying to get that free money from APU, right, that free semester. They told me I couldn't get in. I was like, you can't get in. I'm doing this semester no matter what. I was determined I was going to start in August and I was going to finish in December no matter what happened. I'm looking for the open door, closed door. And they was like, well, you can't get in, you're too late, closed door, boom, 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 boom. I was like, but my wife's on staff. And they're like, no. I said, okay, no problem. So I went to Life Pacific. I said, hey, can I get in? And they were like, well, we can do this. You can do this kind of study online. Or, oh, you're too late for that. So it was a closed door. But every door I was like, well, what if I just did home study, self-paced? I'm looking for the open door. There's got to be an open door for the plan. And every time there was a closed door, I kept looking for the open door. And in the vision and the plan, remember where God is taking you, you look for the open doors and the closed doors for the next thing. If he closes one door, guess what? He opens another. If he dries up the brook, when the brook finally dries up, guess what? God is going to have something there next for you. But then where are you in the waiting? In the waiting. In the waiting. Am I talking to anybody today? You guys with me? See, in the waiting, there is character that is built. And everything that you go through builds layers and layers and layers of your life to get you to be who you are today. Think about all those experiences that you've had, good, bad, ugly, and indifferent, and then some. Anybody know the then some? Amen for us. But they have built something in you to make you into who you are today. And every layer should build upon the next layer of your character to fulfill the plan and destiny that God has for you. And sometimes you get to one stage in the destiny, And then you get to the next stage in the vision. And then you get to the next stage. But in that going, in that building, there's a layer that is being built upon that, gosh, if I had never went through that, if I had never experienced that, I wouldn't know how to handle. Are you hearing me? Think about David's life. David was a shepherd boy, had to fight with the bear and the lion. He had to kill Goliath, and that set him up for this. And he had to deal with crazy Saul. Saul tries to kill him, right? He sat beside Saul and saw how he operated as king and learned from him. But each layer built upon the layer that made him the great king. And even when he failed with Bathsheba, he ran back to God because he knew God's heart. See, here's the deal. Even when we do fail, and we create Ishmael in God's plan, the thing for us to do, and I'm going to close in 30 seconds or less, okay, 3 minutes, is to go back to where we left off in the plan. See, God had told me to do this college thing years ago, and I dropped it. And I had to go back to the plan. So and I went back to the plan, and I course corrected. Sometimes people do this. I love this. I've been in ministry for a long time. And guys will say, you know what? God's called me to the ministry. I'm going to leave my job and just go straight into the ministry and and just give. I was like, you're insane. I've seen a few guys and a few females be successful in that. But the majority of them fail because they haven't walked through the plan and the course of actions and followed everything God was trying to get them to do and build upon layer. And then they have to go back, and they don't go back and course correct. See, when you have a failure, you create an Ishmael, you can go back and course correct for the vision and the plan, and then see where God wants to take you. Because I'm excited now that, God's told me to do this thing, and I finished. I'm actually kind of excited and kind of scared, if you know what I mean. Because it's like, God, what's the next thing now? What are you going to ask me to do? Like, okay, what is it? I'm excited. I know there's something now that I've completed what you asked me to do. And that's important for me. I completed what God asked me to do. Okay, God, I've been obedient to that. Okay, so what's next? It's like, wait by the brook. Wait by the brook. That's the vision right now. Wait by the brook. Don't mess up the vision. Participate with me. Here's my close for you. We'll close with the reading of a verse from King 17. And I'm going to just read it to you, and then I'll give you the close. The word of the Lord came to him, saying, Go and turn eastward and hide yourself in the Iwal Corinth, in the east of Jordan, and you shall have drink from the wattle, and I'll command the ravens to bring you food there. So he went and did according to the word of the Lord. He went and he lived there by the brook, the east of the Jordan, and the ravens brought him food and meat in the morning, and bread and meat in the evenings, and he drank from the wattle. And after a while, the brook dried up, and there was no rain. But then, verse 8 of chapter 17, then the word of the Lord came to him, saying, see, where you may be right now in that place where you're sitting by the brook, and you're waiting, and you're waiting. You wait for the word of the Lord to come. Yeah. But I believe I heard from God to do this. Is that really? Have you really heard from him? And the word of the Lord came to him and said, Go now to Zephaniah, which is in Salam, and live there, and I will command the widow there to feed you. He waited for the word of the Lord to come, and God told him the next thing. And he had to not only listen to God, he had to respond and get up and leave the brook. Come on with me now. I feel to preach now. He had to get up and he had to leave the brook, and he had to go down to the widow's house. And the widow was there. Come on and say amen. And the widow was there to feed him. So he got up, yes, and he went on to the widow's house. And guess what? The widow fed him. Because he listened and he responded to the word of the Lord. My thing for you is don't be jacked up by where you are in the vision. But know that God has something for you. He has a plan for you. A plan and a future and a hope. He has a vision for you, Church 242, and the whole of it all. So I feel a preach coming on. Say, but it's this thing that you have to do your part and participate in the vision. You have to participate in the plan. You have to course correct if you need to correct. And respond to what God is saying. So as I close, I want to pray for some of you today. Not all of you, but some of you. Because some of you have destiny in your life. All of you have destiny in your life. And destiny reads this. I was looking up the word destiny. It means an appointment, a reward for all that you have. God has destiny in your life. And some of you are sitting in this place and you're going, but this can't be it, God, right now. And God's like, yeah, this is it for right now. But God, I know there's more. I have more talents and more gifts. And God's like, I know, but this is it for right now. This is the vision. You are in the vision right now. Come on, band, give me a little something. So I want to pray for you if that's you today. Or if you've been one of those that like I was, I created an Ishmael and messed up the plan, and I needed to course correct. If that's you, I'm just going to pray a simple prayer right now. And I just want you to respond in your heart and respond to what God says. That's my heart today. That you will respond to what God has said to you. Not what I'm saying to you, but what God has said to you about your vision, your plan, about your destiny, your appointment, your reward that He has for you in your life. Here's the kicker. It's not too late. It's not too late. So, Father, I just pray for all of us in the room, Lord. Those, God, who are in the waiting, who are in the middle of what would be their destiny. They feel like, God, this ain't happening. This ain't enough. This ain't it. There's supposed to be more, God. I'm supposed to be popping and hopping right now. It's supposed to be turned up in here, and it's not happening. And God would say, no, you're in the waiting right now. You're in the middle of the vision, and it's okay. And I want you to have security in the middle of the vision right now. Security with where you are and where I have you and the place that you're in. The appointment that you are right now, your status is okay. It's good. But God, it doesn't feel good to me. So God, just like me, forgive me for not feeling good for where we are in the plan. Forgive us for our resistance. God, and for those of us who need course correction today, God, I pray that you would move by your Spirit in our hearts and in our minds to go back to the place where you told us to be, and we would course correct, and we would get that right, and we would finish and accomplish what you told us to do. So Jesus, be with us and lead us into your love everlasting, I pray. And God, for those who are in the vision and know it, I just pray for more excitement, more good. God, I don't want to leave nobody out. God, some of us say we're in the vision and we're doing it. So God, bless them even the more. That they're right there where you would have them, and they're okay with being where you got them, God. And they know that the vision and plan will be fulfilled. We thank you for that in Jesus' name. And every heart said, amen. Let's worship.